Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's starting 11 prediction time for tomorrow's game at home against St Johnstone. And my God, do we need a victory to bounce back tomorrow after that defeat at Rugby Park last week. It's never nice to get beat, but to go out the League Cup so early in the season is a blow for us. I know that we've made winning trebles look very easy over the last 7 years, but that doesn't make it any easier to exit the League Cup at this early stage of the season. I don't think the performance merited anything else, and we covered that outside the ground after the game. It hasn't been a great week as well in terms of news from the club with the injuries. Carter Vickers out for 2 months, Nawrocki out for 2 months, as Brendan Rodgers confirmed yesterday. Stephen Welsh is also out for 2 to 3 months, maybe more. And all of a sudden we're absolutely threadbare at the back. But we've lost Hatate in midfield to injury as well. And again, all of a sudden, you take 2 or 3 key players out of the team, and we don't look like the same side that we were at the back end of last season. We have got into the mix. Brendan Rodgers coming in trying to implement his style, which it doesn't look like the players are fully up to speed with yet. It does look slower. I think we lack that absolute intensity that we had last season. We're trying to take free kicks as quickly as possible, trying to get the ball back in play for throw-ins and goal kicks as quickly as possible. It's a different style, and it looks like there's teething problems along with that. One of the other things that we're crying out for, despite the fact we've made 6 signings already, is more signings as well before the window shuts next week. It looks like Lewis Palma is imminent. 23-year-old wide player, £3.5 million coming from Greece. He looks like a really good player, really dangerous for set pieces, which is good because I don't think we're really strong in that department at all. It's been a while since we've had a sort of set piece specialist, particularly in terms of being dangerous with free kicks. I think he looks really sharp, great dribbler. He looks like a fit to replace Jota. I know that we're interested in Daniel Podence, and I really hope that is something that we can get done, as I've covered already. But if it is to be Lewis Palma, I think he looks like the right profile. The only criticism that I would have is we can't end the window. I said this last week as well. We cannot end the window having signed 7 or 8 players and them all be under 23 when we've lost the likes of Starfelt, Moy and Jota. I think we need 1 or 2 experienced players to complement that, because if you look through the squad, we don't have a lot of depth in terms of experienced players. So I think, yes, the club want to recruit players with potential that can be developed, can be sold on, can make the club huge profits. But I think we need 1 or 2 experienced players alongside that. And again, Brendan Rodgers touched on this yesterday. With the injuries at centre half, he feels is a position where you need experience. So hopefully we can get that in the next week or so as well. But Palma looks an exciting player. Hopefully we can get that over the line as quickly as possible. But I think we need at least 2 or 3 more to add to the squad before that window shuts next week. And the injuries, as I say, are not helping us in terms of trying to evaluate the squad and trying to get them used to the change in style under Brendan Rodgers. In terms of the game tomorrow then, St Johnstone haven't been in great form at all. At the start of this season, they had really damaging defeats in the Viaplay Cup group stage, the most high profile one being that 4-0 defeat to Stirling Albion. So they're not in great shape at all. This is the perfect game for us to go and put a performance on, play to a much higher level than we did last weekend. We're at home, so there's absolutely no excuse in terms of the pitch. It's a big wide pitch, the surface is excellent. We've got to go and play proper football at a proper tempo and hopefully get a few goals, because as I say, lifting the mood and lifting the spirit getting into next week is absolutely massive for us. So we'll get to the starting 11 then. This is not the easiest starting 11 that I've ever picked, given the injuries that we've got. Or maybe it is. You could look at it and say that it is, because we've hardly got any players fit. So it just about picks itself. Joe Hart will be in goals, there's no doubt about that. I did wonder if he would play, given it was a League Cup last week, but he did. Couple of dodgy moments with the ball at his feet at the back. I think we were far too slow in the build-up, and it went back to Joe Hart far too often last week. I think if you'd never watched football before, you could tell that Celtic were far too slow in trying to build attacks last week. That's got to change tomorrow. And as I say, being back at home, there's absolutely no excuses why that shouldn't improve. It's the absolute foundation in terms of us getting a better performance. That speed in the build-up play just wasn't there last week at all. At right back, I'm going to put Alistair Johnson straight back in. Brendan Rodgers said he's looked good in training and he's available to be involved tomorrow. It could be from the bench, but I just think if we want him to be in good shape to start the game next week at Ibrox, he's got to start tomorrow and get as many minutes as we can get out of him, because he's a huge player for us. And given how little this back four has going to have played together going into that game next week, the more experienced, established players we can get in it, the better. So Johnson at right back, Lagerbielke at centre half. He played on the left-hand side last week. Really difficult game for your debut, where Kilmarnock are just going to leave you on the ball, sit in their shape, plastic surface, although you should be used to them having played in Sweden. It's far too early to judge a player, obviously. I'd say you need to wait at least 10 games before you can really form proper judgments in players, but it was a difficult debut for him, and I think Liam Scales is the only first team option to partner him tomorrow, so that is a worry for us. There's no getting away for that, particularly going into that game next Sunday at Ibrox. Hopefully they can get a good performance tomorrow, get a bit of an understanding with each other, because they're going to need it going into that game next week. Centre half is going to be a huge problem for us, and it's something that we've got to get sorted in the next week of the window. Whether it's a short-term loan deal, whatever it is, we need to close the gap there, because we can't go in to the Champions League games with Lagerbielke and Scales at centre half. It just can't happen. Liam Scales was probably halfway out the door last week, and all of a sudden he's one of only 2 fit centre halves at the club. It's bonkers. So we need to fix that. I think Greg Taylor will be at left back, struggling. I think it's clear to see that the fullbacks have struggled so far in this Rodgers system. They look a wee bit lost at times. Taylor's so suited to coming inside the pitch under Postecoglou, but as I say, it just doesn't really look clear that he's comfortable in his role so far this season. Whether that's an area we're going to look to try and improve, I don't know, but I think we can definitely improve across the back four in terms of performance level, regardless of who it is that's playing, and I think that was clear for the game last week. Midfield, I'm going McGregor, Turnbull and Matt O'Reilly. Odin home started last week, but he didn't play very well at all. Again, a tough game for a young kid coming in. It's a physical game, it's on a difficult surface, and it kind of just passed him by last week, to be fair. I think Turnbull will be coming back in. Hatate out is a huge blow for us as well. Like I say, when you're missing Carter Vickers, you're missing Hatate through injury, you've lost Jota, all of a sudden that's 3 of your top 5 players for last season not in the starting lineup, and as I say, suddenly you don't look quite the side that you were last season. So those are huge blows for us. What he does next week, Brendan Rodgers, in terms of the midfield, I don't know. Is that something we can improve in the last 7 days? We're putting a lot on this last 7 days in the transfer window, because again, how confident would you be going to Ibrox with Lagerbielke and Scales at centre half and Turnbull and O'Reilly in midfield? O'Reilly last week just too slow to get on second balls, and I think Turnbull, like that, is similar. I think they're really good on the ball, they're really nice technical footballers, but in the game last week, and you expect in the game next week, we're going to need intensity, we're going to need people to be winning second balls, we're going to need a bit of aggression, and that midfield just doesn't have it for me. So hopefully it's something we look at, but we're going to need to come up with something, because I'd be really worried about that spine of the team if that's what it looks like next Sunday. Right hand side, I'm going to go Liel Abada, Daizameda on the left, and Kyogo through the middle. I thought when Jan came off the bench last week, he was the only one I didn't get right in the starting 11. I thought he tried to make things happen, but again, he kept slipping, he kept falling over. He had a foul where he stayed down for way too long. He didn't get the foul, he stayed down on the floor for way too long. When we were trying to build momentum in the game, it was really frustrating. Abada had a couple of good, we didn't get behind Kilmarnock a lot, but he got in 1 or 2 good crossing positions and just wasted it. We know that the output in terms of assists and creativity from Abada and Maeda isn't maybe where it should be. You get goals out them, you get lots of effort, but I don't think you can rely on them when we get isolated in wide areas. Abada last week had chances to go and take the full back on, try and commit him, open the game up by taking a defender out of the game, and he just refused to do it. So again, whether that's instruction or whether he just doesn't have the confidence to go and do it, it's definitely something that we need in the team, because having lost a player like Jota who could go and eliminate a defender, open the game up, create a chance, get a goal from it, and then the complexion of the game has changed in an instant. We don't have a player like that, and that's something we need. Hopefully Lewis Palma is that. He looks like he could be it. And as I say, if we're still going to keep pursuing the Podence deal, I think we'll definitely get space for another one in there as well, because we do need to improve. It looks like we're going to lose Haksabanovic, and despite his efforts last week, I think he looks like a player that maybe wants to go. He's not been involved a lot at all, and he's just not got the pace. He's not got that intensity really to be as effective as he should be. Again, he's a decent technical footballer, good dribbler. He can commit defenders, but he's not got that intensity to his game. And as I say, when he got in those two good positions last week, despite the fact that it probably should have been a penalty, could he stay in his feet? He could definitely stay in his feet with the one before that, where he's sort of in the middle of the 18-yard box, breaking into it with a shooting opportunity, and he tries to buy a foul. So I don't think it'll be a huge blow to lose Haksabanovic, and we've definitely got room to improve out wide. So there you go. That's 11 I think the manager will go with tomorrow. It's a big game because we need to just get 3 points, get a good performance in, and as I say, the most important thing is lifting the mood and lifting the spirit going into that derby next week. Rangers haven't looked in brilliant shape themselves, but because of the injuries, because of the key players that we're missing, you're never confident going into a derby game away from home. So tomorrow's important for us to just get back in the horse, get a good 3 points, and then we can deal with next week when we get there. Lots to look forward to next week. The Champions League group stage draw, the transfer window's going to close. There's going to be lots of business in and out, I would hope. And then we've got the derby on Sunday, so a lot happening. It's a big week for the club, but it's got to start tomorrow with a good 3 points. So there you go. Like the video, comment with your own thoughts in the team below. Who do you think will start? Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you tomorrow outside the stadium after the game. Thank you.